Okay, so I wound up not doing a video on Friday because I thought it was Saturday and I was just kind of tired. And I'm like, well, it's Saturday. I can have an easy Saturday for once. And I didn't really have anything I was that excited about opening at that time, even though I've still got a bunch of McFarlane stuff I need to open. But like, it's just, I've had it for so long, I keep forgetting about it. And like since I thought it was Saturday, I'm like it's not that big a deal, because I'll just do another video Monday. But it was actually Friday, and then Saturday rolled around, and I'm like, well, I already didn't do a video on Friday because I thought it was Saturday, so I might as well actually not do a video on Saturday. It just seemed kind of weird to me to do a video on Saturday if I didn't do a video on Friday. And then Monday, I had to work like a 12-hour shift unexpectedly. Like I did have a shift that I was going to work, but it was going to be a much shorter shift. And then when it turned out to be that 12-hour shift, I was just like, oh, well, I probably better try to get as much sleep as possible before I got to go in for this monster. and and this was after on Sunday I'd wound up working like a 14-hour shift. So I was pretty pooped. And I was determined to do a video today, but I wound up sleeping most of the day. And I was probably just going to open one of those McFarlane figures, but while I was at Walmart, I just happened to find Masters of the Universe, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Origins cartoon collection, Skeletor, and I'd already gotten Tila and Merman, so you can see those videos that I'd already done. I hadn't got around to picking up that Stratos yet, and here at Walmart today they had Skeletor and they had Man at Arms. So, and you can see on the cross-sell artwork on the back, they have He-Man, Beastman, Skeletor, and Man at Arms. That was the first wave. But I'm guessing they did the thing like they did with the second wave, where they broke it in half. So there's like a wave A and a wave B of wave like part A, part B. I don't know how you would divide that up assortments wise, but they did not have He-Man or Beastman, so I'm guessing those would ship in different assortment. And like how the other cartoon figures had Zodak mixed in with those, She-Ra was mixed in with these. And of course, I already have She-Ra. I have like two Origins She-Ras, one of which I was going to do a custom with, but I haven't gotten around to yet. So obviously, I don't really need to get another one of those. But I did consider picking up Man at Arms, but I figured since I was already getting Skeletor, I'd just wait on Man at Arms. And to me, like the cartoon Man at Arms isn't like as distinctive from the original figure as Skeletor is for a lot of reasons, especially because the original Origins Man at Arms, they did give him a mustache. So, oh, and real quick, let me show off. I've been buying more of these vintage Batman items on eBay, and I got the Talking Riddler figure, which did not come with any of his accessories, but pretty cool figure. This is the Riddler at his most fabulous from the end of the movie, if you remember, where he's got that goofy little question mark mole on his face. So it's kind of a ridiculous costume, probably the most ridiculous costume the Riddler wore in the movie, I think. But I like it. I think it's a fun figure. And then I got the ice armor Batman from Batman and Robin. They did a black version and a blue version of this, and I like the blue version better because it's a little more chromy. He did not come with this cape. This is a fabric cape that I made myself. And last and certainly not least, one of the best movie Batman figures ever that I got. And I have one of these already, but I can't find him. He's stuck in my storage somewhere. But this is from the Dark Knight collection and Batman Returns. He was released in both lines. I have Shadowing Batman. And the reason that he's like one of the coolest ones is because of this. He squeezes legs, his wings pop out. Really cool. And also, this was one where, like, since they had to redo the torso anyway, they made the abs a little more accurate to what he looked like in the movie. So that's really cool. So those are the new Batman, new old Batman, new acquisitions for my vintage Batman collection. So real quick little show off of those. But let's go ahead and talk about the Skeletor figure, since obviously that's what you came here for. That's the name that's on the title. So you can see here it says He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, because it is based on the cartoon, which was called He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Got the cool background with the upward shot of Castle Grayskull. Very familiar to those of us who grew up watching this show. Got Skeletor in the package, the cartoon collection logo, obviously inspired by the old Filmation logo. I don't see the word Filmation anywhere on this package, so like somebody might still hold the rights to that name, and Mattel felt like they couldn't have that on there. Nice piece of artwork on the back, not particularly accurate to the design on the cartoon. He looks more like, just kind of a general sort of like an Alfredo Alcala type picture. It's a really good piece of artwork, so I'm not trying to criticize it on that score. But I believe this is the same guy who did all the artwork on the Origins packages, and he's obviously incredibly talented. So he does come with the masks of power. We'll talk about those in a little bit, but you can see where like you can swap with the heads. So it has him wearing the masks of power, and it says as seen on Masks of Power. So Skeletor is on a bunch of episodes because obviously he's Skeletor and he's the main villain. But I kind of figure they might have this thing going on where, as seen in specific episodes, then they can re-release him. Like, say, if you wanted to do, I don't know, like a Dragon's Gift version of Skeletor, maybe he could come with like an extra head of like the disguise that he had in that episode, and maybe come with the crossbone sword or something like that. They can change up the accessories with these, give them different accessories, and have like they could release Tila with like the grenade she had in the Problem with Power or something like that. Release He-Man with a book like Dragon's Gift or something like that. I keep coming back to Dragon's Gift because that was one of my favorite episodes. But but Masks of Power is an episode that's of note to me because it was also a story that they adapted, like Dragon's Gift, adapted into one of the mini comics that came with the figures originally. And in that, it was a couple of goblins who take the masks and become like these big ugly monsters. And in the episode, it was these more sort of like ornate golden looking masks. And I think it was like a couple of teenagers that stole them. And it was almost a completely different story other than the kind of general plot of it, where like a couple of people steal these masks of power and turn themselves into monsters or supervillains or whatever. But it's still like, it's a very loose adaptation in the mini comic. But I did enjoy that mini comic. So let's go ahead and open them up. And speaking of mini comics, Skeletor does come with one. And it's being a pain. Got a lot of glue on here. So here is the mini comic, which seems to be kind of stuck on there. There we go, I got it off. And it says, Wizard's Vizard, not to be confused with Leonard Skinnerd, and He-Man and Skeletor having a duel here, and He-Man looks like he's getting the worst of it. Now, the funny thing is, Skeletor does not. No, he does. He does come with a sword. I didn't see it in the package because it was hidden so well. So he does have a purple power sword, so that's great. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and read through the mini-comic real fast. The city of the ancients, the Eldritch domain, once ruled by the most powerful figures ever to walk Eternia, past and sometimes present. I like the word Eldritch. Or is it Eldritch? I don't know. Eldritch abomination. I like that term. The Mask of Power, the key to my ascendancy. When I last unleashed the Mask of Power, it transformed my servant into Deimos the Necromancer, who ruled this city, the wizard himself, in the artifact for countless centuries. When released, imprisoned me. The dark artifact has a gravitational pull of his own, beckoning Skeletor. Whosoever should put on the wizard's vizard, Deimos possesses. But not me. Thanks to my counter spell, Deimos is my prisoner. Now his power is mine. Enjoy your prison, Deimos. You will have plenty of time to think about what... You'll have plenty of time to think. Have you thought about updating your wardrobe? Oh, he's such a cheeky one, Skeletor. So it shows him transforming, and he's got a purple robe now. And now he's riding a dragon back to Snake Mountain. Imbued by the power of the ancients, I have access to not only the formidable spells and curses, but lost languages, including Dragon Tongue, summoning the evil wyverns. Wyverns? There's a lot of good words in this. Of the land, the beasts that encircle Snake Mountain, awaiting skill. Oh, sorry, I thought that was still him talking. The narrative captions and the internal monologue captions, they look the same, so it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. Summoning the evil wyverns of the land, the beasts encircle Snake Mountain, awaiting Skeletor's command. Carefully, he prepares to take over the cities of Eternia with his hellish armada. They put the word hellish in there. Wow. Okay. So, leading a platoon of Eternian guards, Men-at-Arms and He-Man stake out Snake Mountain. See how I got tripped up there? From the vantage of a chasm, methodically planning a counterstrike of their own. There are a lot of $3 words in this, and I'd imagine a kid is going to have to go to his parents and be like, "Mom, Dad, what is chasm? What is methodically? What is wyvern?" But that's good. Stan Lee always said when he wrote comics, he liked to use big words because he figured, his publisher would be like, "You don't put all these big words in there. Kids read these comics." And he's like, "Well, kids can ask their parents what it means. And if the parents don't know what it means, they can look it up in the dictionary. It's educational." So, if Eternia is going to stand, we must stop Skeletor's Dragon Armada. You are armed with a stasis ray weapon that I can freeze anything dead in its tracks. Once I lure the dragons into the chasm, you will neutralize them. That's He-Man, or Man-at-Arms talking to He-Man. Here, He-Man, take this jump pen. You can teleport into Snake Mountain, where you must stop Skeletor. Remember, it only has 2 charges, so choose your destinations wisely. Coming in hot! And it shows Man-at-Arms with the ray he was talking about. It looks kind of like one of the Mazer cannons from a Godzilla movie. Acting as bait to lure the dragons into the gulch, Man-at-Arms speeds through the deadly circuit. Let her rip! It shows him blasting a dragon. Seize the power, He-Man. Good luck, my friend. I worry about how long these rays can restrain these beasts before their energy is depleted. He-Man, what are you doing here? Tell me, Skeletor, what would you do with all of the power? Steel collides as the Eternial... I almost said Eternia because, He-Man. Steels collide as the eternal foes battle before the Crimson Waterfall. Okay, so I probably should have read that part first. Tell me, Skeletor, what would you do with all this power? Kazak, rule! Nice. Poor fool, you never stood a chance! I added the laugh, it just felt right. So the only way to destroy a mask of power is to wield the Sword of the Ancients, which is lost to history. Before you die, what do you have to say? My intent isn't to destroy the mask, but banish it! And it shows him zapping Skeletor with the ray that Man-at-Arms gave him. With the last charge of his jump pen, He-Man transports the mask from Skeletor's face to an unknown dimension. He-Man can get out of there on his own. He's tough enough. You don't need to teleport out. Hold fast! Stand your ground! Released from Skeletor's spell and the hold of the stasis rays, the dragons attack Snake Mountain, unleashing a gale force of ice, wind, and fire. No need to walk me to the door. I'll see myself out. I think that line was supposed to go to He-Man. That's why I read it that way. Since why would Skeletor need to be shown out of his own Snake Mountain? Outside the battlements of Snake Mountain, the forces of good celebrate a hard-won victory. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that there is always a solution to a problem. Every poison has an antidote. Every attack has a counter. And every question has an answer. We did it, He-Man! There's a question. What are we feasting tonight? Ha 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 ha. Hey, Sean Franklin, how you doing, buddy? All right. So that was the comic book. Pretty decent comic book. Not the best one I've read in this line, but no, I don't think it's the worst either. It was entertaining enough. All right. So since we've been over the comic book, let's go over the action figure. All right. So we got a few accessories here. first we have the Havoc staff. And since this is a cartoon version of Skeletor, he does have the cartoon version of the Havoc staff. And the thing that's most distinctive about the cartoon version of the Havoc staff is this. There is a crystal ball held between the ram's horns. So that does make it rather... Do I enjoy listening to Prince music? Do I enjoy listening to Prince music? Let me tell you something about Prince. Prince is the greatest musical artist that I have seen or will ever see in my entire lifetime. And not only are there a lot of Prince songs that I really dig, a lot of albums that I think are great. He did the soundtrack to the 1989 Batman movie, one of my favorite Batman movies, one of my favorite movies of all time. And I still love listening to that record. Imagine one of the greatest musical artists of your lifetime doing a concept album about your favorite character, and that's how I feel about Prince's Batman soundtrack. But yeah, like there's a lot of Prince songs I really love. One of my favorites, not probably the most politically correct answer, but I really like Bambi because that song just rocks. But yeah, Prince is one of my favorites. So yeah, big fan of Prince. So thanks for asking that question. All right, so let's go over the accessories. Back to the accessories anyway. So he does have the two Masks of Power that were seen in the story. And if you've seen the episode of the Filmation cartoon, you're familiar with those. You can probably find that on YouTube if you haven't seen it at all or recently. So those are cool accessories. We'll get onto those in a second. And last but not least, which I was very pleasantly surprised by, he does come with a purple version of the Power Sword. Do you have Purple Rain on Blu-ray? No, but I do have it on DVD. I probably should pick up the Blu-ray because, like I said, like that movie. That's a good movie. So purify yourselves in the lakes of Minnetonka. I'd recently watched How I Met Your Mother again, and they mentioned Prince in that when he's talking about Minnesota. Like, well, the character of Marshall grew up in Minnesota, and he's talking about Minnesota, and somebody asks him, like, are there no black people in Minnesota? And he's like, not if Prince is on tour. so but yeah, like Prince famously lived in Minnesota, so and the movie took place there, so that was cool. Big fan of Prince, like I said. So yeah, there's the figure itself, and I think they did a pretty good job with the head sculpt for the most part. Although I do have a couple of nitpicks. I do feel like that the head should sit a little more deeply in the hood. That's just my opinion. And while it's a nice sculpt, I do feel like they probably should have put a little more paint detail into it, especially with the teeth, because the teeth kind of get lost in all that yellow. It actually looks a little better on the camera, I think, than it does in real life. But I think if they'd given it a little bit of black outline around those teeth, I think that would have helped out a lot. I might try to get like a really fine tip Gundam pen and see if I can ink around those and make them stand out a little bit more. Also, I do think it's nice that they molded the face in yellow and molded the hood in purple. Like, not only will that help cut down on any kind of paint rub you might get, but I think it makes it look a little more realistic. But I think they probably should have painted in the inside of his hood to be black, because I think that would have made it look a little more like the cartoon. Other than that, I think it's a pretty decent head sculpt, and it definitely looks like the cartoon version of Skeletor. Although I don't think they caught it quite as closely as the Club Grayskull version. So, and I do really like this chest armor, the cowl. They did a really good job of making that look like the cartoon. It's very accurate to the details of that. And even you can see it goes around the back. They don't have like the bra straps like Skeletor's armor usually has in the back. They did put some effort in doing it in a different way that makes it look a little more like the cartoon. Now, I do think that the neck opening is maybe a little large, and especially low in the back, and it probably would have helped if they had made that a little smaller. But this is one of those where it's going to open up, like you pull up that tab, and then you see it kind of sandwiches around the whole body, and you have to actually take it apart at the middle to pull it off and pull his head off and everything like that. And I figure if you're gonna do it like that, where like you gotta pull his head off, technically I guess you could kind of stretch it around the head, but I'm not gonna do that because I don't want to take a chance on putting any stress marks on the armor. But you should just pop off his head. It should be easy to do that. But yeah, if you're gonna do that, they might as well have made this neck hole a little smaller, and then it could have covered up more of that blue skin. And likewise, they don't have the buckle in the back like the original Skeletor armor, so they might as well have just added some more skirt in the back like he actually had on the cartoon. So while they did, oh, by the way, here we can see the pelvis piece and how it's flat and doesn't have any studs on it. So it's more accurate to how you do He-Man's belt in the cartoon. But I think that they really could have done a little bit more, and it wouldn't have, I don't think, taken that much more effort to get it to be a little more accurate. But I mean, it's accurate enough. Most of the things I'm pointing at are just kind of nitpicky sort of things, not really like, deal breakers or anything. It's not like, well, I shouldn't have wasted my money on this crap. No, it's close enough. It's close enough. You can look at it and you can tell it's supposed to be specifically the Filmation version of Skeletor, and that's what you want out of this figure. Speaking of popping off his head, let's go ahead and put those masks of power on here. Now, this was the one on the cartoon that was the female character, but you can still pop it onto him very easily. I wonder how well it would work on Evil Lyn. I want to say that the female figures have a much smaller neck ball than the male figures. So, and then here is I don't remember what either one of these characters was named. And I just read the comic book where they named this guy. So you would think I would remember. But it has been like several years since last time I would have watched this episode. So we'll go ahead and put the Skeletor head back on him. And there we go. Yeah. So let's go ahead and have a look at the Sword of Power. And I'm guessing this is the same exact sculpt that would be the one that comes with He-Man. Pretty cool. He looks really cool holding that. So there we go. Now, when I was a kid, before the He-Man cartoon came out, and all we had was the mini comics to rely on, in that version of the story, both He-Man and Skeletor each had half of the power sword, and that's why those power swords were made to like fit together into one sword. But this is just a solid sculpted sword. So I'm guessing it's the same exact mold that when I get He-Man, he's probably going to come with this same exact mold. Looking over them, there is one other thing that I noticed that's missing from this as far as being a Filmation version of Skeletor, and that's the fingernails. You can see that like he has plain unpainted fingernails, and famously in the Filmation cartoon, Skeletor actually had black claws at the tips of his fingers, like pointy black nails. And I think it would have been really cool if they had it like just put in a little bit of extra effort and painted in the fingernails. They did not do that. Thankfully, I have black paint and a toothpick, so I can fix that myself. All right, now there was a couple of episodes where Skeletor was shown using a sword, and a few of those episodes where Skeletor was shown using a sword, they actually did have it look like the Sword of Power, but it was never addressed in the story. So I don't think he was ever supposed to have his half of the power sword in the show. Now, there is some early production artwork, like some storyboards and stuff, where you see that the He-Man's power sword clearly is a half of a sword, but they abandoned that concept early on at Filmation. And I'm guessing the reason was that Filmation had already done the Black Star animated series, and of course on Black Star, coincidentally enough, I don't think Mattel ripped off Black Star or Filmation ripped off, because they both came out around close enough to the same time. I don't think there would have enough lead time for anybody to steal anything in this case. But Black Star revolved around the hero and villain each having half of a magical sword that if you put it together, it would be like this ultimate weapon, like the original version of the power sword. Anyway, so here's Skeletor holding the Havoc staff. I do feel like the ram's head is maybe a little bit large, like a little bit bigger than what it's supposed to look like on the cartoon. But again, not really a deal breaker. It looks fine. It's definitely bigger than the one that the original toy would have come with. But I think that's more sort of like just because of the proportions of like the skull itself looks like it's only kind of a little bit larger than the original toy Havoc staff. But the way the ram's head, the way that the ram's horns sit kind of high on the skull, and having that crystal ball in between them, it just makes it that much bigger. But as you can see, you can get him into a nice double-handed pose with the Havoc staff, or have him just hold it by his side. Now, one of the problems with the Havoc staffs in the Origins line, since they are based on the original Havoc staff, is it's not quite long enough to actually reach the ground when he's just standing with it in one hand. But it's still a really cool accessory. I really like the Havoc staff. So, and since he has two hands, we can have him dual wield both of these weapons, which is a good thing because they actually did not include any storage on the back for the sword to go into. I mean, you can maybe try to kind of squeeze it in there, but that looks kind of awkward to me. So, He-Man has kind of a bespoke loop on the back of his armor, but they didn't really do that with Skeletor, unfortunately. So let's go ahead and talk about the articulation. And of course, if you've seen these videos before, hello, MHD. How are we doing this morning? It's morning for me, anyway. So I'm about to go to sleep because I sleep during the day like a vampire. Now, if you've seen any of these videos where, yes, this is the, if you didn't see where I open it up, this is from the Filmation cartoon, the cartoon collection. There's the decal on the package. And I think this has been out for like a while now, like a few months, but I just finally found it at Walmart. So they're just starting to hit Walmart in my area. It's pretty early in Poland. Yeah, I guess it would be. Like, I guess it's, what, tomorrow in Poland, maybe? I don't know, because that's like on the other side of the planet, pretty much from where I'm at. But shout out to you guys in Poland. It's always nice to meet friends all over the world. One of the miracles of the internet, huh? So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about his articulation. And if you've seen me do these Origins videos before, you know about the articulation, but we're going to go over it again anyway. So Skeletor can look up above that far. He is a little hampered by that hood. He can look down about that far. Kind of tilts his head kind of quizzically from side to side. Turn the head all the way around. The arms, of course, rotate all the way around at the shoulders. It is a little impeded by the shoulder flaps there, but they are nice and rubbery, so they don't impede it too much. His arms move down about that far. It's got a single joint at the articulation at the elbow, so it bends about that far, and of course rotates all the way around. And that's about what it looks like when it's straightened out. Wrists rotate all the way around, and they do have a horizontal articulation, so it moves back and forth that way, a little horizontal hinge. He does rotate all the way around at the waist. Does not have the He-Man power punch, because unfortunately the newer figures don't have that, because instead they have the gimmick where you can take them apart. But it's still got some kind of gimmick, so that's nice. He can kick up about that far, because his legs are so muscle bound they can't kick up that far. And the skirt doesn't really impede them very much. It just kind of bends out of the way. So that's awfully considerate of it. Knees bend down about that far. It's a single joint of articulation at the knee, and it does rotate all the way around. There is a boot cut, so the boot rotates all the way around. There is an ankle articulation that points down about that far, points up about that far, and it's on a rocker joint, so you can move the ankle all the way around like so. It is indeed a good-looking figure. I'm very pleased with it. So Skeletor is my favorite character, pretty much, in the entire Masters of the Universe mythos. I always thought he was a really cool villain. And, it's one of those things where, like, I'd root for He-Man, because, He-Man's the good guy. So you root for the hero, you hiss for the villain. But Skeletor, to me, was the most entertaining character, which is why he was he was my favorite, and you like to see him lose because he's an evil SOB. He's the Lord of Destruction. He's a demon from another dimension who came to conquer ours, and that's a bad guy. So now, of course, they retconned it later, and of course, they did something like this also in the new Netflix cartoon, The Master of the Universe Revolution, where they had William Shatner playing Keldor. They later retconned it so that Skeletor had once been He-Man's uncle Keldor, the brother of King Randor, and nobody in the original continuity knew what happened to him. He just vanished one day. And then, of course, in the 2000X series, they revealed that him and Randor had become enemies, and he tried to throw acid at Randor, and Randor deflected it back at him, and that melted his face off, so that's how he became Skeletor. Now, in the Masters of the Universe Origins, no, I'm sorry, the Masters of the Universe Classics continuity, they combined both of those together, and Hordak saved Keldor's life by merging him with a demon from another dimension. So they had the demon from another dimension origin and the Keldor origin and smashed them both together into one. And they kind of used that on the Revolution cartoon, but it was like a little bit different. They changed it around a little bit. I still like the classics origin best. That's just me, and I put a few more little quirks of my own in here. By the way, Skeletor was voiced by Alan Oppenheimer, who did several voices on the cartoon, including Man-at-Arms and Battle Cat and Cringer. And he also did on the earlier Flash Gordon cartoon, which was kind of the precursor to Masters of the Universe in a lot of ways. He did the voice of Ming the Merciless, so we can look at Skeletor next to Ming the Merciless, and that's pretty cool, since I happen to have Ming handy. Remember when I did that last review of the Power Stars Ming figure, and I was like, I don't know where my Defenders of the Earth Ming figure is. It's got to be around here somewhere. Well, here it is. I finally found it. So anybody who's worried about that, there it is. So anyway, this is a really impressive Skeletor figure, and I really dig it. So I'm glad that I picked him up. I'm glad I was able to get him. Those of you who have been following this channel for a long time know that I'd already made like a couple of different custom Skeletor figures in the Filmation style, but I'm glad to have one that was actually officially produced. I think he turned out really nicely. I've been digging these Filmation figures so far. I bought every one that I could get my hands on, with the exception of Stratos. I don't have Stratos yet. And, of course, the Man-at-Arms, what I just seen for the first time today. And I wound up picking Skeletor over Man-at-Arms, but no surprise there, because, like I said, Skeletor is my guy. So I'll probably try to pick up Man-at-Arms sometime in the near future, and hopefully I'll see He-Man and Beast-Man at some point. So I would like to have all of them, of course. So a lot of knowledge here, as always. Well, I try. It's like, I've got all this useless knowledge in my head. I got to try to put it to use somehow. You know, if all I can do is entertain people on the internet with my trivia, I'm glad to be able to do that. So, but thanks. It's nice to be appreciated. So, anyway, thank you all for watching. I'm glad that that you were able to come on here and spend a little bit of time with me. Shout out to MHD and Sean Franklin. Always nice to see you folks. And thanks for watching, everyone else. And I will continue to give it to you. But yeah, if you did enjoy this show, make sure that you like and subscribe. All the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about Skeletor, the figure and the character in general, and the Filmation cartoons. Share some of your memories of Skeletor in the old Filmation cartoon. That'll be nice to see. I've got more cool stuff coming. I did manage to pick up another Masterverse figure. I got more Masterverse figures I got to get to also. I got a bunch of Masterverse figures. I got a bunch of McFarlane figures. I got 2 more McFarlane figures on the way that I'd pre-ordered on Amazon a while back. And so I think those should be there here sometime within the next 24 hours. So I'll probably get around to opening those up this week as well. But that's pretty much it for Skeletor. Hope you enjoyed it. We will talk to you next time. Bye.